Hi everyone. Today I have a Dom IX Twinstar. I literally just finished picking and gutting it. And so since I've got all apart, I thought I would do a quick overview of the lock separately from the pick and gut video so I could put it at the beginning. And then if you don't want to watch the 40-minute long pick and gut, you don't have to, because it is very long. So here's the key to the Twinstar. There's the logo up here in the corner, Dom IX, and you can see it's got a lot going on the key. So there's these two lines here. You can see them a little better in profile. This is what lifts the key pins. This is a dimple lock. But interestingly, unlike a multi-lock or something similar, there's not big divots in the key for the key pins to fit into, because the key pins, as you'll see in a second, actually have like a ridge or a fin on the bottom, and that fits on this line or into these bumps and grooves here. And the key pins are specially shaped so that that line is always aligned front to back. You know, it's in a straight line for the key. So definitely interesting shaped pins. There is an interactive element right here on the end. You can see this little wheel. There are two rows of pins. One of them has 5 pins and one has 4 pins plus a top interactive element, which functions basically like a pin, except it's slightly offline. This interactive element, though, also extends to the bottom here, and there's a bottom interactive that it hits as well. So there's going to be the pins on top and the bottom interactive. Now there's some divots on the side here. These are primarily for key control. There are some passive pins that sit in the plug, and if you don't have the divots on your key, they get stuck in a ridge and they won't turn, or they won't allow the plug to turn. And the only other thing is there's a divot right here in the middle on this particular one. And when the bottom interactive is engaged, a pin pops up into the plug and fits right there in that hole. So if you didn't have that hole there, you would not be able to turn the lock either, because the bottom interactive would not engage all the way. So I believe that's another key control type of issue. So pretty complicated, a lot of stuff going on here, and that's why this thing has a lot of little pieces and is frankly a pain to take apart, and it's going to be an even bigger pain for me to put together when I'm done here. So moving on to talk a little bit about the lock itself. So here's the plug. So you can see it as a dimple. The key pins fit up here at the top and they fall right here into this chamber. It's open right now, but there's this little plastic cover guard that kind of fits right here. So when it's all put together, like, the key pins won't fall into this side and get stuck. That would be bad. So there's a little plastic piece there. And that's all that does. These are the holes where those passive side pins fit. And I'm going to grab one of the passive side pins right here and bring it up for you to see. So there it is. You can just see it's mushroomed. So it sits in the side of the plug. This thin part is what extends into the plug and interacts with the key. So there's 3 of those. When I put this back together, they go in 3 specific holes here that match with the key, so that the key works correctly. The bottom interactive element. So here's the ridge that it goes into. This hole right here is where the actual interactive element goes, and then that pin that pops up fits right there. So I'm just going to show those real quick. Here's the pin that kind of pops up, and you can see it's flat on the bottom. Essentially what's going to happen is when you push in the bottom interactive, it compresses that bar and it pushes this up, and it just sits there with this part extended into the plug. So that's all that's kind of going on with that. Here is the actual bottom interactive. This top part is what fits into the plug. This bottom part hangs down in the bottom, and it's shaped like an arrow or a cone, because it actually pushes against that bottom bar and compresses it. So I'll show you that real quick. So this fits right in here, and then this bottom bar, I'll show you, it's springy. It's got a spring in the middle, so it compresses. Okay. So it normally sits right here with that other pin underneath it, and you can see it sticks up. Okay, so that's going to fit into the groove in the bottom of the housing, or the top of the housing, I guess, because this is a Euro lock. When you push that pin, the bottom interactive pin, down, you can see it kind of pops into this little hole. It pushes this bar and compresses it so that it's flat. Okay, so now the plug can turn. The other pin sits right underneath here. Take this out real quick. It sits right there. So it gets forced down if there's not a hole in the key for it. Just fixing this because I misspoke. If that pin's pushed down, it forces the bar out and then the plug won't turn. Okay, on to the pins. So number one, you'll see that the holes in the plug here, they're kind of leaf-shaped. And that's because we want the pins, or they wanted the pins to stay aligned. So the pins don't rotate at all in this lock. They stay in the same orientation. And if you look in the housing, you'll see that same leaf shape. So the pins, the drivers do exactly the same thing. They're always oriented the same way. Looking at the key pins, I'll grab an interesting one here. So there's that fin on the bottom. You can see it right there. So that's the part that hangs into the plug and interacts with the key. The top of this particular one, it's got this ridge, so it can kind of be an overset trap. You'll see the top is angled because the pins aren't in the middle of the plug, they're on the sides. They have to be angled so that when they fit in there, they are smooth with the key, right? So that it rotates. So they're all going to have these kind of slight cants to them, or angles to them. Same thing with the drivers. If you look at the bottom of the driver, you can see there it's got an angle to it. All of the drivers at least have this little ridge here. It almost looks like, like a gin bottle type thing. There's no milling in the plug, so there's nothing for it to get stuck on, but it does make it a little bit more difficult to set. And then this lock does have 4 spools, so you can see just a spool there. So in addition to that kind of ridging on the bottom, it does function just like a spool. You have to do some counter rotation and get it lifted correctly. In this particular lock, I've noted, does not provide a lot of really great counter rotation feedback, or maybe I'm just not very good at feeling it. So pretty difficult to pick. The one thing I'll note over here, so this is I guess the 5th pin on this side. This is the top interactive element. So it basically works just like a pin. You can see it here. And this is the part that hangs in the plug, and it pushes this, and then it pushes on the pin, and the pin lifts. So there's nothing too special about that. It works basically just like a 5th pin. I think that's a pretty complete overview of what's going on here. There's some other stuff that's here. There's some ball bearings. They literally just fit into these 2 holes right here. That's just drill protection, so it doesn't do anything for the pick, but it just makes it kind of a little bit more protected against a drilling type of attack, which is obviously not what I'm doing. And then the springs, nothing special about that. So there's an overview of the lock, Dom IX Twinstar. The next part of the video will be the pick and gut. Again, warning, it is long. It takes me about half an hour, I think, to get the lock picked, and then another 10 minutes to do the complete gut because of all the little pieces. So feel free to fast forward through the boring parts. I will timestamp this, but without further ado, we'll get over to the picking section. All right. I've got my Dom IX Twinstar here. There's your key, or my key. Key works. Gonna be picking with a couple multi-pick flags, a 3 and a 6. I'm gonna do the right hand side of the lock first. left-hand side after I see about getting that bottom interactive. Actually gonna tap these pins real quick here just to make sure everything's set. Okay. That seems okay. I think I hit the bottom interactive. I'm gonna move over to the left-hand side now. Okay, now those feel like they're binding, which makes me think maybe I overset something on the right-hand side. There's a spool over here I gotta lift. There's also a very, very high lift in pin 2 that is relatively difficult to get correct. Right here. Okay. Try to do the bottom interactive. Okay. I'm a little scared I didn't get this pin 2 lifted enough here. Because if I did not, I'm going to have to come back and set it later, and it's going to drop a bunch of stuff. But getting these lifts, these high lifts on this lock is really tough. really trying to make sure I get this side right. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get the other side without coming back, and it's going to be just soul crushing. Okay, let's do the bottom interactive. I'm going to go over to the other side here. So now I'm picking the left-hand side. I should get some movement when I get these back pins up. Which tells me it was the appropriate time to move to this side. If I don't get any movement on these back pins, that means that the other side was not set, or maybe the bottom interactive is not set. No, the bottom interactive is set. This side's not feeling right yet. Something's not right, because pin 1 is still, it's not loose, so it doesn't seem like it's binding. Now it's binding. Okay. gonna say it on this video. This is my last attempt to pick this thing today. After this, I'm gonna take a break. So if I don't get it open, no one will ever see this. If I do, you'll know that I was ready to stop. I was ready to stop. This is about my third or fourth attempt to get this on video today. And, I'm starting to get real tired. Double check right here. Just a couple taps with the hook. Okay. I'm gonna say I'm feeling pretty good so far with how this pick is going. I'm trying to see if I can hit the top interactive here. I feel like that's about where this pick is at. If I can get the top interactive, that means that I'm just about done. The top interactive is hard to find. Let's state that for the record. At least hard for me to find it. But I'm feeling pretty good about the state of this lock at the moment. I am 17 minutes into this video, but I feel like I'm getting pretty close here. That one's loose. It's loose, loose, loose. Top interactive, where are you? You feel loose. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, do I need to pick a spool somewhere? 2, are you a spool? 3. Might be a spool over here. I get into a lot of trouble with this lock at this point, so everything is almost picked. I know there's 1 or 2 pins that are not, and attempting to find and pick those is usually where I end up dropping everything. Come on, Twinstar. Let's do this. Somewhere you got something binding. Where and what? Okay, I'm gonna let some tension off here, because I know I over-tension this thing. And see what I need to be hitting. Is it the top interactive? Is it a spool? What just dropped? Besides a bunch of stuff. Alright, I was feeling good about 4 minutes ago, and now I'm not feeling so good. Let's give it some last little taps around here before I call this video. sad part is that this left side feels great now. Sorry, the right side. The right side of this lock feels fantastic. I'm stuck on something on this left side, and usually the left side is not the problematic side for me. So there's something just moved right there. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I keep going because I think I almost got this. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Something just needs like the tiniest little lift. Ooh, I'm so close. It's gotta be, it's not the top interactive, right? It's gotta be one of these front pins over here on the left. I know it's one of you. One of you is stuck on a spool. And for once, it's not pin 2 on the right. One, 2, 3. One of you just needs an extra high lift. I keep thinking I'm getting stuck, but I'm hitting the pin from the interactive on the bottom. It's gotta be this one. Come on. Come on, Twinstar, you're killing me. What is not set? Something just moved right there. Okay, it was the top interactive. I did it on video again. Okay. Gutting. This thing is a pain to gut. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Okay. I am gonna shim this lock. And I gotta get the C-clip off. Hold, please. While I get my pliers for C-clip removal. Okay. Okay, it's unlocked. We've established this. Free spinning. Okay. I'm gonna relock it. Boom. I'm gonna take this C-clip off. I'm gonna put the key in, and I'm gonna shim it. Double shim it. 2 rows of pins, 2 shims. That's how I roll. Okay, when I got this, probably a bunch of stuff is going to fall out of the lock. I apologize in advance. So here we go. First thing that's going to come out is a ball bearing right here. That is an anti-drill ball bearing. Okay. There is an anti-drill ball bearing. There's another anti-drill ball bearing. Right there. Okay. Let me show the bottom interactive as it comes out here. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. There is the bottom bar. And that's going to fall out. And then there's 2 pins underneath it. Hopefully you can see those. And those are going to fall out. Oh, my shims. Okay, so there's the 2 pins. Those are going to fall out here. There was one. That's the actual bottom interactive right there. This other one. The other one is the pin that pops up in the middle of the lock. Okay. There is 3 little pins right here. Those are just key control. Those are going to fall out. They just sit in the divots on the key. And then there's all of the key pins right there. And this little plastic piece, which I'm just going to pop out real quick. Okay. Let's get to the pins. I'm going to do this way. So pin, let's do it like this. Pin 5 on this side is the top interactive. Pin 4 on this side. So I'll do this pin 5 on this side. Pin 4 on this side. Just a pin. Pin 4 on this side. Pin 3. Pin Pin 3 doesn't want to come out. Come on, pin 3. Oh, that was pin 2. Let's keep these straight. Pin 3, try again. There's pin 3. And might as well do pin 1 over here. Okay. There's pin 1. Move this back over here. Okay, here's pin 3 on this side. Pin 2 on this side. And pin 1. There are all the pins, key pins. Okay, now the first pin that comes out is going to be pin number 1 on this side. So let's get that here. Pin number 1. Next is going to be pin number 1 over on this side. Come on, pin number 1. There's pin number 1 on this side. These pins do not make it easy to get out. Pin number 2. Okay, pin number 2 is a spool, as you can see. Pin number 2 on this side. Another spool. Pin number 3. A spool. Pin number 3. You guessed it, a spool. Pin number 4, not a spool. Pin number 4 over here, whoops, also not a spool. Pin number 5, not a spool. And the last pin is the interactive, so it's going to look a little different. Oops. Okay, I'm going to dump the springs real quick. All 10 of them. I'm really hoping this is the last time I have to disassemble and reassemble this lock, because it is a pain. Okay, inside the housing, you can see there's the groove right there for the bottom bar. These grooves on the side, that's what these pins right here interact with. If you have a key that does not have the divots in the right spot, those will not retract and you cannot turn it. So this is for the bottom interactive, and that's for the key control side pins. And there's probably nothing else real special in this particular housing. Let's get a close-up of the pins here. So there's the pins. You can see the spools there. Even the ones without spools, you can see these ridges on the bottom. It's almost like gin, kind of, but there's no milling in the plug as far as I can tell. But they do kind of get stuckish. And then you can see the key pins. A lot of them have these ridges on them so that they, whoops, this one's upside down. A lot of them have these ridges on them so that they are overset traps, kind of. And you can see the fins on the bottom, which is the part you actually have to push up. Let's see if there's anything special here. The interactive, it's kind of this funky shaped pin there. There's that. And I'll show the bottom bar. See, it compresses. And it compresses because when you push this pin in right here, when you push this pin in, at the top is the part that sticks in the plug. This bottom part goes down and it compresses the pin, and then this, or it compresses this bar. This little pin here will pop up when it's compressed, because the thick part at the bottom sits in the middle of that bar. So when the bar compresses, it pushes this up into the plug. So again, it's a key control thing. If you don't have this divot in the middle of the key here, that will not pop. It won't be allowed to pop up, and this bar won't compress, and it will get stuck in the groove in the bottom of the housing. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to show here. Maybe I'll just show these little side pins. Again, these just sit in the side of the plug. And if your key does not have a divot for it to fit in, it won't retract and it'll get stuck again in the housing, in the groove in the housing there. Okay, that's the second time I got that thing open on camera. Dom IX Twinstar. There's the pins again. I'm hoping this video is good enough for black belt. Hopefully I showed everything that I needed to show, and I didn't block anything out with my head this time. I'm just checking to see if there's any milling in this plug. There's not. Let's see if there's anything funky in here. Doesn't seem like it. All right. No milling, just little things to catch. So I think that's probably it. Rambling video, long video. Just catch on anything? Yeah, a little bit. All right, I gotta put this thing back together now. It's gonna take even longer than disassembling it did. Thank you for watching.